Alrighty. I know it's such a short scene, but it's such an impactful scene, especially for the time that I've been here in Vector. I love that last line he says, "It's supposed to be hard. If it were hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great." And that's what I love most about being here in Cutco, is that not everyone can succeed in Cutco because of how hard it is. If it were easy, everyone would be selling Cutco. Everyone would be having a great time, right? But it's only because of that, because it's hard, that it makes winning even more exciting. So today I'm going to talk a bit more about the heart and about mental fitness and how we can use mental fitness to get us further ahead in not only in business and Cutco, but also how to get further ahead in life. Okay. So when it comes to mental fitness, there are three components to mental fitness. And if you haven't yet, feel free to go ahead and take out your notes as we go along. So there are three components to mental fitness. There's resilience, mental strength, and mental toughness. All of them kind of coincide in with each other. But at the end of the day, end up being the kind of foundation of having good mental health and a good mental fitness. Resilience is essentially the balance between both strength and toughness. It's what helps you recover from any setbacks that come your way, help you adapt to the difficulties. Whenever I think of resilience, I always think of like tough rhino skin, how it's resilient to a whole lot of things. Nothing can really penetrate or hurt the rhino because it just muscles through it, right? And then there's mental strength. Now, mental strength is the ability to deal with challenges, pressures, and stressors in a way that allows you to perform at your best. Now, more importantly, mental strength is knowing and understanding your emotions and processing them in order to overcome those emotions. And I think whenever I think of strength, I always think of things like American Dragon Jake Long, one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, because despite all the challenges in his love life and having to deal with school, his friends, family, and even his responsibility of taking care of all the magical folk in New York, he still had the strength to get back up and get after what he wanted to get after. And then there's mental toughness. Now, mental toughness is essentially what people give the title for when you have tunnel vision, right? When you have that, when you want to get to the end goal with a wet fit attitude. For those of you who don't know what a wet fit attitude is, that's whatever the F it takes. Wet fit attitude, whatever the F it takes to reach that goal. That's where you're tuning out any distractions, any negative talks, any negative doubts, and just doing all the work that's needed in order to get to that end goal. A lot of people, in order to do mental toughness, keep in mind the three C's of mental toughness: challenge, commitment, and control. Challenge is rising to the challenge that comes ahead of them. Commitment is committing to the small daily actions that are needed towards getting closer and closer to that goal. And control is not worrying about the things out of your control, but controlling the things that are in your control. Okay. So just go through a couple of these in a bit more depth. First, I want to talk about resilience. And when it comes to resilience, sometimes the things that help us move forward are things as simple as remembering your reason why, right? Remembering your why brings you a whole lot more clarity. It makes it easier for the path that you want to pursue. It makes it easier to follow that path. When you have clarity, when you share it with us managers, it gives us a better understanding of how to direct you towards your goals. Because our job as managers, by the way, isn't to make you guys go out into the world, sell anything and everything that Cutco sells. Our job as managers is to get you from where you are to where you want to be. We just so happen to use Cutco as a vehicle to make that happen. Whenever it comes to having clarity, I always think of like movies and how the main character gets this clairvoyant moment where suddenly everything clicks into place and they're able to win the day. Things like Kung Fu Panda, for the whole movie, Po is like trying to strengthen himself up so that he can get the dragon scroll, and get the knowledge of unlimited power that'll take him to that next level. And in his final fight against the Snow Leopard was so confused on why the scroll was blank, but finally understood it. He saw that the power was already inside of himself. He had that clarity and was able to accomplish the goal that he wanted to accomplish. Now, your reason why, remembering your why, should light a fire in you, right? It should be something that just gets you fired up and excited to accomplish. It should be the kind of goal that gets you out of bed to just do anything and everything that it takes to get after it. If your goal doesn't fire you up, it probably doesn't mean enough to you, right? And if your goal doesn't scare you, it probably isn't a big enough goal. That's why I always say it's important to have a goal that can fire and inspire you to overcome any challenge that may come your way. Not only that, but it also pushes you to reach that next level, right? Because anytime that you're not growing, do you guys know what the opposite of growth is? It's not only staying still, but it's essentially death, right? And as long as you're growing and getting closer and closer, whether it's one step closer, 5 steps closer, or even 2 steps closer, any growth is always positive growth. That's why we want to make sure that you guys are getting closer and closer to your goals. Same way that Alyssa is like getting demo after demo, sale after sale, getting closer to that bonus line. It's gonna be super exciting, right? And lastly, when it comes to remembering your reason why, sometimes it's enough to push you towards what you want to do. I think of people like Michael Lemaster. If you guys see the newsletter, Michael has had like 1,000 or sorry has had over 800 weeks, over 1,000 each, and those are weeks back to back to back. That's between all the birthdays for his kids, all the holidays, all of like the date nights with his family, and anything and everything that can come his way for 18 years. That's longer than some of you guys have been alive. Michael has had over $1,000 in sales for that week consistently. And Michael, he actually breaks down anytime he talks about his reason why, right? And the biggest, his reason why is because the reason why he gets after it week after week is because he does it for his daughters. They're two little girls and are so sweet to be around. And like Michael wants to make sure that he shows up the best way for them and does and gives the best to them. And the way that that happens is by Michael just doing the work, making those phone calls, getting those sales on the board. I think of movies like Black Panther, like the opening of Black Panther, where T'Challa is facing M'Baku, and this opponent is the Gorilla Man, who is twice T'Challa's size, twice T'Challa's strength, and they're fighting for the throne. And just when T'Challa is like near death, like he might as well concede, he's bleeding everywhere. His mom, the Queen, says, "Show them who you are." And then in that moment of clarity, T'Challa remembers his reason why he's fighting and gets a sudden burst of energy to overcome M'Baku. Right? It didn't matter how big his challenge was ahead of him. He knew that he was fighting for his family. He knew that he was fighting for his people because he would lead them a whole lot better. And that was enough to push him to get out of like his weakness and just overcome M'Baku. Okay. All right. So next, I want to talk about strength. Okay, and strength comes from having a mindset free from fear. Strength comes from having a mindset free of fear. One big thing I see in many reps, especially when they first start, is that they need to start changing their limiting beliefs. I have a lot of reps tell me all kinds of uncertain words. They say, "Oh yeah, if I get time, I'll do this. If I get time, I'll do that." Instead of saying if so much, I always replace it with when. When I was making this talk, I was talking to my friend and he told me, and we've been managers for a long time. And I was talking to him and he said, "Yeah, and if my office sells $300,000 this summer, I'm going to upgrade a whole lot of things in my life." And I told him, "No, dude, when? Because we're going to make it happen," right? Having that certainty, having that like belief, just strengthens you up more towards making it happen. Okay, things like try. I've heard many reps say, "Oh, I'll try and make it to the phone jam. I'll try and get a sale this time." Well, in the wise words of Master Yoda, do or do not. There is no try, right? So anytime I heard someone say try, instantly in my head I said, "No, we will make that happen, right? We will get that sale today. We will get on the phone jam today." Same thing goes anytime it comes to changing limiting beliefs, and I encourage you to try this with yourself. You want to move from uncertain words, uncertain phrases to the certain. So things like hope, might, possibly, all suddenly become will. That all those things will happen, right? In a positive light. Because at the end of the day, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Say it one more time. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And that's why it's important to break free from fear, right? Whenever you're looking at the positive, on positives, you want to break away from fear, fear of rejection, right? Of customers saying no, that they don't want to see the demo. Who knows? Maybe they do want to see the demo, they just don't realize it. Fear of failure, right? Even if you get a no sale, that's not necessarily a failure. You still interacted with the customer and you're still improving on your skills. Remember, you guys have had the ball, or your managers have dropped the ball more times than you've had it, right? So there have been many situations where we've been very fearful of failure. We failed a whole lot more times than you've even had the shot, um, that shot of winning or failing. And lastly, fear of criticism. I've seen this the most, especially during the summertime for reps. Fear of what their parents will think, what their family will think. At the end of the day, they'll think what they'll think, but what matters most is what you think of yourself, right? And sometimes it's just a matter of having the courage to level up, having the courage of level up, like leveling up parts of your life, leveling yourself up, right? Because at the end of the day, you're here, you know what you've been through, and you deserve to have that level up. You deserve to have that growth, because constant movement forward is the same as constant growth. Okay. And then I also think of things like the gap in the game. Looking at the gap in the game, there's a lot of strength in it. The gap in the game, by the way, it's a concept from Dan Sullivan. This book has been tremendous, not only for myself, but many managers and cutthroat sales professionals in the business, to the point where our division manager, Dan, who you guys will get to meet at SE2, actually gave this to me for my birthday. So it was a really good read. But the main concept of the gap in the game is that you want to look at your past victories and carry them towards your new personal best, right? You want to look at your past victories and carry them towards your new personal best. So rather than focusing on on the losses that you've had, look at all the wins that you've had in the past. I think of things like the Portland office, who has had tremendous growth this year compared to last year. And a lot of it is thanks to each and every one of you guys. Every demo that you guys do and every sale that you do has helped with our growth, which is super exciting. And we're some of the leaders in the way for the Western region, thanks to all the effort that you guys put in, right? You have to focus more. You have to focus on how far you've come, rather than, and that'll get you. That'll get you towards how much further you have to go. Okay. So what I say that is like, rather than focusing on the losses, right? Think about all the things that you've accomplished, all the things you've overcome. You've done that once before. Why can't you do it again? Right? You managed to call a customer. Why can't you call another customer? You managed to do a presentation. Why can't you do another presentation? Right? It's always a matter of getting that growth, getting to that next level. Oh, and here's a good quote I found while I was doing this talk. You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And that's by Alex Hormozy. Right? You don't become confident by shouting affirmations into the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Right? Now, we can say things in the mirror, speak them into manifestation all the time, but the thing that's going to stack up your confidence even more is looking back on the wins that you've had. Okay. Now, this last one we're going to go ahead and talk about is mental toughness. And when it comes to mental toughness, I think of things like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and how Wong, in the middle of battle, said, "Sorcerers, fortify your minds." I'm sorry, it's just too funny not to put it in. And then there's also memes on it, right? But in all seriousness, when it comes to strengthening your mind, as great as it would be for us to go from where we are right now to the best version of ourselves overnight, that doesn't happen for everyone. No one is as fast as Captain America is, right? But it's more a matter of having routine and discipline, doing consistent actions and efforts that'll take you step by step towards your goals. I used to give an example to my rep who was in football, of building muscle, right? Whenever you go to the gym, you have a certain number of weights. Let's say you have 20-pound weights, and you're constantly like doing the same exercise in order to build that muscle. It doesn't make sense to do 5-pound weights when you're training yourself at the 20-pound. You want to go higher. Same thing goes for having discipline for yourself. Let's say making phone calls. When you first start out, yes, it makes sense to do 5, 10 phone calls in a phone jam because you're first learning. But every time you do a phone jam, I challenge you guys to push yourselves to do more and more phone calls, right? So instead of like doing just the same 5, 10, you're not gonna get anywhere doing the same 5, 10 phone calls. See if you can push yourself to do 15. Push yourself to do 20 in a week. How fast can you get to making 20 phone calls each day, right? The more that you do the phone calls, the more discipline you'll have towards getting to that goal. At the end of the day, you're a result of your habits. You're a result of your habits. So if you have if you have bad habits, that'll end up in bad results, right? But if you build on those good habits, doing the things that you need to, speaking with the people you need to speak with, then you'll end up getting good results out of it. And as far as results go, right, most important thing to remember is you don't want to let your results become your identity. You don't want to let your results become your identity. Okay, what I mean when I say that, if you have wins, celebrate them because the wins are always a great thing to celebrate. But replicate those wins, right? Don't just be that person that just wins one time. If you've got losses, so like review your losses and improve on them. I think of things like the 5 minute rule. If you've never heard the 5 minute rule, the 5 minute rule goes like this: if anything big or scary or challenging comes, if any negative thing comes into your life, you've got 5 minutes. And by the way, Jeremy and myself, we're trained on this. You can call us up, tell us, hey, I had a character building day and I could use 5 minutes. And if you need us there for it, we'll be there for it. 5 minutes where you can cry, where you can shout in anger, excuse my language, but you can bitch all you want for 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes, we get back to work towards getting to our goals, right? So win or lose, celebrate it for a bit, then get back on the grind of getting towards that goal. Okay. So again, those are the three elements of mental fitness, and hopefully, a lot of these will help you guys generate that tough mindset for what we got coming this summer. Because this summer we're going to be the Portland powerhouse, where we go boom, boom, firepower. Or with that mental fitness, we're beating out every other office in Oregon, every other division in the Western region. Let's go.